buy me a Dame jersey.
I'm getting with HW today. So that's gonna be
I
the
like
best
it. I like it.
today. Yep. I'm getting
Heck
with H.
yeah. Twins.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You think if you buy me a jersey, I'm not going to wear the jersey? Just as
You will.
yeah,
I got an extra
double
small.
XL.
I can send it over.
A double XL though.
Okay, we got you, Fluent.
Right.
Dame Day. It's Dame Day.
It's Dame Day.
It's Dame Day somewhere.
We're going with the Dame theme today. That's
do you have a collection of jerseys?
Me?
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, I do, Tone. I got, and it's only the guys that I like. Like I got a Dame jersey. I got James. I got Leonard. Who else do I have? I don't have a Jordan jersey. I had one a long time ago, and I don't know what happened to it. But I had a Jordan jersey. Let's see. That's it for right now.
I have I'm trying to think of a way to explain it. I had as a kid this Jordan. It's not a jersey. It's like it's a jersey style, but it's like a picture of Mike.
Yeah.
It's kind of full size, and on the back it's him like doing his some reverse dunk or something. And so I was at my parents' house, and my dad. You have to understand, my dad worked at a dry cleaners, so everything he has, like if he sees something that's nice and never been worn, because I never wore that jersey, like the tag's still on it, and so he wraps it in. He wrapped certain things that he thought would be like, I don't know, in the plastic, that you get from a dry cleaner.
Yeah.
And so I was at his house, and it's been 30 years since, I think it was like a 90, 91 jersey.
Is it still there?
So it's still there in the plastic, pristine with a tag on it. And so I was like, all right. And he's like, hey, you could probably sell this. I go, no, it's not like it's a jersey or something. I looked it up. It was like $1,000. Like, who would pay? But then I was like, who would pay $1,000 for this? Like, people are crazy. Like when I see what these jerseys, like the game worn Bulls jersey went for like $10 million.
I was about to say, I think it was something like $7 million. It's a collector's item.
Yeah. I think that's you have way too much money. Go feed 100 starving families and spend $10 million on it.
Yeah. What's up, everybody in the chat? Thanks for stopping by. OG, you're already getting some heat for the jersey, so that's good. It's game day.
Why is he getting heat? Why is he getting heat for the jersey?
I don't know. Ask Justin. Justin said, "Wow, OG."
Hey, I'm a huge Dame Lillard fan. I love Dame.
Yeah, come on.
Come on now. Dame Lillard.
So we have a lot to get into today. Just in time for NBA preseason, we have a ton of NBA drama going on, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you're new, welcome to Fluent and Chltwn. I'm Haley, and if you've been with us before, appreciate you stopping by. We'll definitely get into some NFL and NBA, but I just want to start off with, I just want to get it out of the way. The elephant in the room, Ime Udoka and all that's going on there. Obviously, we only know a certain amount of details that the media has released, and I'm sure I think Woj has something coming out even later today with some more details as far as the suspension goes. But just from what we do know, Jay, what are you sensing from this whole situation? Do you think that suspension could lead to a whole season? And if so, do you see an a head coach that could possibly fill Ime's shoes coming off a season where they just went to a championship?
Correct.
Like this is throwing a huge wrench. Like the fact that he could do that in his first season as a head coach with this group of guys is huge. So what are you taking away from all this?
Well, the first problem that I had with it is the fact that you could do this at this particular time. I mean, we got something going here. We got a championship unit, and we're on our way to doing something. And the last thing we need is some nonsense like this to throw a monkey wrench in it, which is exactly what it's going to do. But then I also heard earlier today, and they took the words right out of my mouth. If he wasn't getting fired, why is this any of our business?
That's what I'm saying.
Because this is going on all over America. And I'm not even talking about in the NBA. Office romances are not new. Office romances are going on everywhere. But now that the cat is out of the bag, Haley, and now we're talking about, if I'm not mistaken, the vice president and his wife. I mean, how can I come into work every day knowing that the vice president, which he knew about this, by the way. How do I know? How can I come into work every day with the vice president looking at me, knowing that this was going on? We can't really have a healthy working relationship with this going on. He has to go now. He has to go. There's no way that this thing can continue. But I think that they fumbled this simply because if they weren't going to let him go, then there's no reason why we shouldn't. I felt like that as soon as I heard about this. Like, this is none of my business. Why am I involved in this? If he was not fired, why are you putting this out there? I didn't understand that for the life of me. And I will tell you that I think that the Boston Celtics absolutely dropped the ball on this, because if this is going on between Coach Udoka and, I don't know, Haley, Jacqueline at Harper and Associates on the other side of town, this is not new. This is not, and it still shouldn't be news. This is none of our business. And I didn't think that it was appropriate to mention it to us, especially considering the fact that he didn't get canned. I didn't understand why we were involved in this.
Yeah. And real quick, Ticket said, "What's up?" in the chat. What's up, Ticket? Thanks for stopping by.
What up, Ticket?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. As soon as I read that, I was like, this is something. That's what makes me think, I guess, that there's more to it. I don't exactly know if there was some like underage thing going on, if there's some real shady stuff going on, because for adultery, I mean, that's not a fireable offense.
No.
But is there like guidelines?
There's a 1,000,000% a problem here. So one, I want to know who leaked it, because I think that is part of the story. I think who leaked it.
That's the entire story, Tone. Exactly what you just said. That's the entire story.
But when you say adultery is not it, okay. Forget the fact that I think he's just dumb for risking his job as head coach of the Boston Celtics, one of the best jobs ever you could have. Forget the fact that he cheated on. I was about to cuss. Nia Long, bro. That's Nia Long. Okay, let's move those two crazy parts aside, because that's nuts. It was an employee. It was someone who he's in a position of power over. And I'm assuming the Celtics have this, every business, every corporation have these outlined in your agreements, in your employee contracts, that you can't, fraternize with people that report to you or people that are from a hierarchy below you, because there's a power struggle. In fact, healthcare professionals, as an example, cannot have any kind of sexual relationship with any of their subordinates. You can't treat a doctor. I don't know if you can't treat a dentist, can't treat their spouse, right? There's a power dynamic. So you're breaking a rule now. Okay. Is it a fireable offense? Yes, it is, because if a CEO of a company slept with a senior manager and that was in their employment contract that you're not allowed to do that, then yeah, it's 100% with cause, you fire them. That's why I go back to the original. Who leaked this story? Because apparently this has been going on for a long time. They had asked him to stop. They asked them both, and they're like, nope, we're not stopping. So it's very weird. So to allow it to get leaked and then to suspend him for a year, it's weird, because to Jay's point, how do you then go back? Right? Like, this is one of those, hey, let's cover it up and move on, or hey, it's a private matter between him, his wife, and whatever, let's move on. That you can't do that now. So it's just a really weird dynamic that they've created.
Tom, my question to you is with the vice president, this is his wife, if I'm not mistaken. Who is this woman that he's involved with? So I'm clear.
That I don't know.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. From my understanding, the vice president, this is his.
Oh, that makes it even more.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
This is the logic that I'm. Yes, this is the logic that I'm getting. Now, the other thing that, and I'm speculating on this, but to your point, Tone, you asked the question of how did this get out? This got out. If this got out, how did this get out? I'll tell you how it got out, Tone. It got out because there's somebody else too. Well, Jay, what do you mean there's somebody else? There's somebody else because if you rewind the clock back to 1995, what was going on in 1995? President Bill Clinton was married to his wife, but he was also messing around with the intern. And what did the intern tell him? The intern was very simple. Hey, listen, man, you ain't got to take me out to dinner. You ain't got to buy me diamonds. You don't have to do anything flashy for me. But when you see me in the hallway, you can say hello. You can act like you know me.
Yeah. And
instead, Bill Clinton was like, nope. Not only am I going to act like I don't know you, I'm not even going to acknowledge you. So when the spot gets blown up, and he's like, yo, I wasn't involved with that lady. She's like, wait a minute, what? So I'm under the impression that it was somebody else too, because it couldn't have just been him and her. And I'm telling us, yo, we're just going to stop this, because there's no way that I'm going to jeopardize my job with people telling me that, yo, everybody knows about this. You two need to cut this off. Because remember, Tone, and you know this as well as I do, when you're in business, when you're doing something that could possibly jeopardize the business, there's a crossroad where we get to a point where, all right, this is the out. We could keep going this way, or we can get out. And I'm sure that they've had a conversation at some point about this, that, yo, this ain't really that cool. We might want to stop doing this. That's where the crossroad comes in. And I believe that there might have been somebody else involved in this. That's the only other way this got out. Because if I'm just talking to you, Tone, and you're just talking to me, the only way this gets out is if you say something or if I say something. That's the only other way.
No, but that's the part of it. That's the part of it that I think is weird, is that people knew about it because they were telling them to stop. So if they were telling them to stop, people knew. So this was not a secret. They weren't trying to hide this, which then goes to my next question. And again, none of my, in honesty, everything is really none of my business, none of our business. But did his wife know? Did they know? Were they open to it? Are they okay with it? Like, maybe it's just a thing that's what they do, and they just let it go. And now it became public because maybe someone said, I want to make some money off this. I know what you guys are doing. I'm going to make it public.
Sell the story.
And they're like, no, we're not paying you. Okay, then I'm going to make it public. Because that happens a lot too. Of
course. I just think that, Tone, when I think about this situation, it's cringeworthy, because I just don't feel like it's any of my business. And I don't think that if Coach Udoka was getting fired, then this is something that we could dive into. But you involved us in this in basically some gossip. Yo, this is what we found out about. Yeah. And not only did we find out about this, well, we're basically just going to send him home with pay. Well, wait a minute. If that's the case, then why are we involved in this? It's not like you're firing him. This is why we fired him. He wasn't good enough in terms of being a coach, or he had some inappropriate behavior. You just basically sending him home with pay. Then we don't need to know about it.
Yeah, the whole situation's awkward.
It is.
Whack.
It is.
But I guess from like the perspective that we're coming from, just being fans of the sports world.
Listen, when you're a celebrity, you don't like it, whether you like it or not. And when you're an athlete, a coach, in the public eye, yes, unfortunately, it's none of our business. But at the same time, you're in the public eye, so now everything is our business. That's the world we live in, like it or not. That's the world we live in. The thing that just blows my mind is, you know what you're risking. You're risking your marriage, your life, your home life. You're risking a great job. I always tell people this story. I used to, back in the olden days, I used to run car dealers. Mm-hmm. And there was a general manager who, they make hundreds of thousands of dollars, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, $300,000-$400,000. They get a free car, free insurance, like everything. Their life is great. There's one particular group that I work for. The one thing we did not pay for, we paid for everything except your gas. Your gas is your own responsibility. And we had a general manager who continually had one of the lot attendants go out and fill his demo, like our car that we're letting him drive wherever he wants, kept filling it up with gas. And I will not use names. Thank you. It is a fresh cut. I appreciate that.
I did notice that your cut is fresh too, Tone. By the way, you got a fresh fade going on.
You know why? I did it. I did it where my son got his Steph Curry.
Oh, that was
I was just sitting around. I was like, yeah, hook me up. But those guys,
why not?
Yeah, Ultimate Fades, baby. If you're in the GTA, the Toronto area, go to Ultimate Fades. And so he would always get, and I said, stop. You're gonna lose a job that pays you $400,000 and gives you a free car for a tank of gas. And this was not when gas was expensive. This was when gas was cheap. And so the owner, or one of the owners, is at the gas station one day, and she sees one of the lot attendants filling up a car that we, knows is his. Comes back, comes to my office and says, hey, did you talk to about that? And I said, yep. did you tell him to stop? I said, yep. Did you tell him what would happen if he didn't? I said, yeah, we'd let him go. Well, I just saw that. I'm like, nah. And then I had to go and fire him. I had to go in and fire a guy because he wanted to steal a $50 tank of gas. And he ruined a $450,000 job, lost it for $50 in gas. And guess what goes down on the employment record? For theft. That's what it says, for theft. So now so that's the thing. It's just like when you make those decisions, guys, and this is the life lessons that they said Jay and Haley, but apparently I don't help them learn in the chat. Thanks a lot. Is that you when you make a decision, just think of what the risks are, is all I'm saying. I'm going to take off this jacket. I don't know if you can hear it. It's making a lot of noise. It's driving me crazy.
ASMR.
Yeah, maybe I need to go put on my jersey is apparently what
yeah, you
the boy is saying.
Haley set the theme tonight.
Let's go. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to touch on this super chat real quick from Lettuce. He said, and thank you for the super chat. We appreciate you. This summer is the 10-year anniversary of the Nets moving to Brooklyn. So I was hoping you guys could do a top 10 Brooklyn Nets all time. Much love.
Brooklyn Nets.
Yes, sir.
The Brooklyn Nets.
Just so we're talking about starting in 2012, 13. Like, what was that? That was like Jerry Stackhouse. Who was on that team? I pulled it up when I saw that. Joe Johnson.
Stack was on the other side.
Yeah. He was 38 at that point.
Yeah, Stack was on the other side. Let's see. Darren Williams was on the crew. Who was in Brooklyn in 2012? That's a good question, man. I mean, they were a playoff team.
Yeah.
Mind you. They weren't a good team. They weren't just a good team. They were a playoff team. Darren Williams was on that crew in 2012.
Gerald Wallace. I'm looking at it. Joe Johnson, Deron Williams, people just forget about him, eh? Gerald Wallace, Reggie Evans. That's the dirty word guy. But CJ Watson. Like this team wasn't great. Like I wouldn't put anyone on that team probably in that top 10, maybe Joe Johnson.
Right.
Of a top 10 Nets. Like when you start with just the Nets, most of the guys that they got, right, it was too late. Like when they got Garnett, Pierce, like it was too late.
Pierce and
they were done. So I would start with the current guys. I would say KD's number one.
KD.
Of the Brooklyn Nets, because if you're only thinking 10 years, KD's been there 2, 3, so it's 20% of the Brooklyn Nets career. So he's been there long enough. It's KD, it's Kyrie. Can we put in James Harden?
No. James Harden, no.
Didn't play there long enough.
I think Darren Williams.
Darren Williams is up there.
Let's see. In the last 10
years. And Joe Johnson. We agree. Joe Johnson.
Yeah. In the last 10 years, Joe Johnson. Big guys. What big guys was in Brooklyn during that time? Let's see. 2015. I don't think that they made it. Because what happened to the Brooklyn Nets when they traded
everybody for those Celtics guys.
They gave up 3 first-round picks. So they were irrelevant. And by the way, those first-round picks turned into Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I can keep going. Yeah, they turned into Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I believe that they turned into Marcus Smart too. They got him too. Let's see. So that's 3 first-round picks that they didn't have. And the Brooklyn Nets were basically irrelevant until they got Kyrie Irving.
15, 16, they were 21 and 61.
Garbage, right?
And this is how you know a team is bad. When Andrea Bargnani is on your team, know you're in bad shape. And he played 46 games. He didn't start any, thankfully, but I didn't that one. If you had a trivia question and asked me the team that I only knew he played for the Raptors and the Knicks, I did not about Brooklyn. Then they win 20 games the next year.
Garbage.
28 the year after that.
Garbage.
And then 42 in 18-19. So, and that's obviously when D'Angelo Russell, Joe Harris, Spencer Dinwiddie.
Brook Lopez
is the top 10.
Lopez is gone, I think, at that point. But yeah, he was up there.
Brook Lopez is the top 10.
If we're talking to big men, I mean, there weren't a lot of.
There wasn't a lot of big men. Jared Allen was only there for a minute. He's probably there.
Well, Brook Lopez, he's their all-time leading rebounder in Brooklyn Nets history.
Yeah.
I think he's their all-time shot block leader too. So
I'll say this. So the numbers are sorry. In the 10 years, I think it's hard because you're it's such a small time frame. So you're
Right.
pretty much saying KD, Kyrie, like you said, Darren Williams, Joe Johnson. You almost have to put in Kevin Garnett and those guys, unless you want to go Spencer Dinwiddie. Like there's just not. But if you look all time, man, we're talking Dr. J, Jason Kidd, Vince Carter. Then the list gets the list gets really good.
10 years, the last 10 years, 4 of them 10 years, they were garbage. That's almost the problem. Almost half the time. I mean, that's almost half the time that they were there. It's not like they were who they were over the last 2 years where they were in the playoffs. The last 3 years when they were in the playoffs. Over the last from 2012 to 2022, that's 10 years. 4 of them years they were garbage.
Yeah,
straight trash.
So I will say this for those that are in the chat and those that are coming to the chat. The super chats, clearly you get your money's worth here. It's not like them other shows where they don't answer your super chats or they only take like 1 minute. You get a discussion.
Absolutely, we'll talk about it. No doubt about it.
So I put in a chat. Would you ever cheat on Nia Long? 66% said no, and 33% lied.
What? Oh my God.
Well, you got to also remember too, Tone. Number one, they're not married. Not only are they not married, she doesn't live in Boston, which she has not lived in Boston, and she hasn't lived in San Antonio. Someone won't really know what kind of relationship him and her have.
Yeah, fair enough. That is true.
Fair enough. Yeah, and that's why for me, the bigger thing is really just having is someone that you like kind of work with that reports. You know what I mean? I think that's their issue.
Yeah,
I'm sure they have a personal conduct policy, but maybe they don't. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm sure they do.
Like Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith's like going crazy about it, but I don't know.
He goes crazy about everything.
Yeah, I think we're making a big deal. I think we're making a bigger deal about it.
Yeah, I mean, Woj should drop something.
He should report something else. Well, that's not a Woj.
Yeah.
He didn't. Yeah,
well, apparently it is now.
Well, actually, to be honest with you,
stuff like this, when I see stuff like this, I always think there's something else going on, and they're trying to divert our attention because there's something else happening.
Well, this is absolutely a Woj bomb because if I'm not mistaken, the Boston Celtics win the NBA Finals. They were in a dogfight with the Golden State Warriors to win the NBA championship, and now their head coach is possibly suspended for the season. And this is the team that could very well, in some people's eyes, be the favorites to go back this season. And now that's looking real tricky. And the reason why that's looking real tricky is because their coach over this nonsense is not going to be around anymore. So this is news. Yeah. This might not be the news that we would rather talk about, but this is news.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot lies on the line for the Celtics right now.
Yep. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
All right. Let's jump into this next topic. Because I'm curious to hear what you both think. So let's get into it. So Colin Cowherd says Michael Jordan couldn't win championships without Scottie Pippen, while LeBron James won multiple championships with other players. This is his quote. "The biggest knock on Jordan is this," said Colin Cowherd. "How many playoff series did he win without Scottie Pippen? Kareem and LeBron won multiple championships with other players. Jordan could not win with other players because of Michael's style, which you often saw in Washington. You saw in his first 5 years in Chicago, he did not play well with other scorers. He played well with Scottie Pippen, who acknowledged he would be in the passenger seat. Braun won without Kyrie. He won without AD. He won without D Wade. Kareem won in Milwaukee. Kareem won in Los Angeles multiple times." So, yeah.
That's the biggest load of crap I've ever heard in my life. One. When idiots say Jordan never won without Pippen, I ask them, how many playoff series did he play without Pippen? The answer, 3. His rookie season, his second injured season, and then year 3, where he lost to one of the greatest teams of all time in the Boston Celtics. Got swept right out of the gym in 3 games by one of the greatest teams of all time. On his team, which was sub 500. So to say he couldn't win, well, he never played. He never played with anyone other than Pippen. Some people say that's to his credit. Okay, Colin Cowherd is trying to make that a negative. Well, he always played with Pippen. And you're going to bring up Washington? That's what we would have. Washington, the 38, 39-year-old Jordan who's playing for $1 million that he donated to 9/11 because he was the owner of the team and they needed to sell tickets. Give me a break. So what are we talking about? We're talking about a stretch of years where he only had Pippen by his side, and he won with Pippen. He won more than both Kareem and LeBron with just Pippen. And when you say he couldn't, well, he never had the opportunity. So you're telling me if he went to Houston and played with Olajuwon, they couldn't have won? If he brought Dominique over instead of Pippen, he couldn't have won? If he went to Portland and played with that jersey that I don't know if that's a Dame jersey or Drexler jersey. With Drexler, there's no chance he could have won. If he went to Philadelphia in the mid 80s and played with Moses and Dr. J, he couldn't have won. So to say he couldn't win with anybody else is stupid, and it's just bad journalism. He didn't because he never had the chance. That's it. And then when you bring up Kareem and LeBron, LeBron won without Magic. Yeah, he had Oscar Robertson. And then when he went to, how did he do? Jay, you're the historian. How did he do in LA before Magic got there? How many did he win?
The first year that he didn't win any championships.
Yeah. Exactly. So it sounds like Kareem couldn't win without him. How much winning did LeBron do in Cleveland his first 7-8 years?
I mean, he did get to the NBA Finals.
How many championships? Because that's what he's talking about.
Man, they didn't win the NBA championship.
They didn't win the NBA championship. Oh, that's interesting. So, I hate this for both. When people say LeBron had to go to Miami and needed Wade and Bosh to win, I hate that argument too. The dude's a great player. He didn't need hey, that's what he did. Kareem, he didn't need Oscar or Magic, but he always had them. So just because he replaced Oscar, who was on the downside of his career, let's be honest, and he was lucky where he went to LA and they got Magic and it rejuvenated him, right? It's such a dumb argument. I don't even know. It's right. So you have people in the chat who are 1-9 without Pippen, and they think that's series. Like I bet you Dejan Mermurges, whatever his name is, doesn't realize it was 3 series when they say 1-9. So that's like me saying, oh, well, LeBron sucks because in 4 NBA finals, he went 2-16. Because that's what he did in 4 NBA finals. His record's 2-16. Is that a good argument for LeBron to say that that's why he's trash? No, that'd be a stupid take. Just like 1-9 is a stupid take because it adds zero context to the conversation. And I'm going to go on a tangent. And I've been talking for 5 minutes. I'll stop.
Well, we gotta also remember too, Tone, that number one, that unit was built around Jordan. It wasn't like it was a situation where Jordan inherited a bunch of stars and then they moved forward. No, that unit was built around Jordan. And Jerry Krause added Scottie Pippen, and him and Jordan grew up together. So there wasn't a situation where, like in Cleveland, where they did a terrible job in building that unit around James.
Agreed.
Where he had to go. No, they built that unit around Jordan, and they added Scottie Pippen, and they added Horace Grant, and they added B.J. Armstrong, and they traded for Bill Cartwright. They added Stacey King. And this unit was together for a lot of years. In the process of this unit being together for a lot of years, Scottie Pippen and Jordan both grew together. Jordan was getting better every year. Scottie Pippen was getting better every year. As opposed to in James's case, he didn't really have anybody to grow with. His only constant was Zydrunas Ilgauskas and Anderson Varejao, which sounds like
listen, I've said
that's what that
the
sounds
Cleveland
like.
Cavaliers did LeBron dirty, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not using this I'm not knocking LeBron or excuse me. Soundboard. I'm not using this to knock LeBron or Kareem. I'm just saying it's irresponsible to say, well, Jordan couldn't win because he never had the opportunity. So when people, again, I'm looking at the chat when people say Jordan couldn't have won in 07 and 18 if he took over the cap. You have no idea what he could have done. You have no clue. And then again, I look at the chat at how ignorant people are. LeBron went to the finals without an all-star teammate. Okay, by that standard, Jordan won 2 NBA championships without an all-star teammate.
But that's something, yeah, and that's something.
Those things drive me nuts. It's so like you're not using your noggin there, bud.
And to add more context to it, it wasn't like Jabbar got Oscar. Let's be clear, Oscar got Jabbar.
Oh,
Oscar
100%.
Oscar got Jabbar in year 7. Okay, it wasn't like Oscar was a gift to Jabbar. No, Jabbar was a gift to Oscar.
Jabbar was the best player in the game,
right?
And
he was
absolutely.
He was a gift to Oscar. Now, Magic was a gift to Jabbar, even though that team that Jabbar was on was actually advanced. And they did go to the Western Conference Championship 2 years after he got to the Lakers. Because remember, Tone, they were Oklahoma City the year before he got there. They were at the bottom of the Western Conference.
He's the MVP of the league. He's the best player. Of course.
By the way,
that's what I'm saying. I'm not knocking Kareem. He's the best player.
Breaking news, Tone. Udoka suspended for the season.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah,
just got
yeah.
a super chat. Trill Phantom, thank you for that update for us. But yeah, he's out for the season.
So with that being said, like I said, Jabbar was a gift to Oscar Robertson. So with that also being said, LeBron James was a gift to Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was routinely shown the door after the Shaquille O'Neal and him tandem after 2006. He was out in the first round, didn't make the playoffs, out in the first round again, swept after winning the NBA championship. So this team that he was on, once he gets LeBron James, that's a gift to him, and he gets him in a different stage of his career, which would explain why they were winning. Same logic going forward with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love in Cleveland. Those guys, these how many playoff appearances, Haley, before Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love get with LeBron James? Kevin Love, 6 years in the league. These how many playoff appearances he had. Kyrie Irving, 4 years in the league. This is how many playoff appearances he had. These guys James was a gift to these guys and actually helped them get better. It wasn't like they was building that unit around them. No, I think that the Jordan situation with Pippen is completely different because they built that unit around Jordan and Scottie Pippen and him both. Because Jordan was so young, they grew together and they got better together. Now, the success wasn't early for Jordan before he got Scottie Pippen because he was dealing with some juggernauts. Now, I can't.
Well, and let's not forget too, Pippen. Let's not forget, Pippen didn't come into the league, although he was a high draft pick. He didn't even start in the first season, right? No, year two, he was averaging what 10 points. So it's that's what I'm saying. It's not like they make it seem like when Oscar got Kareem, he was an MVP. Jordan didn't get an MVP player. And again, none of this is knocking any of these guys. It's when you say this person couldn't win without that person, when you never saw them play with another person. Like, we never saw Jordan play with someone else other than Pippen. However, when he says he couldn't win with anybody else, remind me how many players were on the second three-peat that were on the first three-peat?
None, just Scottie and Jordan. That's it.
Scottie and Jordan, that's it. The rest of the roster was completely different. It was completely and better, different, mind you, in my opinion. But again, I'm not knocking. People are using this argument to knock LeBron or they think I'm knocking Kareem or knocking LeBron, and I'm not, because those are my 1, 2, 3 all time. I'm just saying you can't say Jordan couldn't win with anybody else because he never got the chance to play with anybody else. And when you say Kareem won with multiple players, well, he traded in Oscar for Magic. That was a much better player and a much better team. He traded in for a younger, better version of Oscar. Like when you rank your point guards, guess who's on top? Oh, it's Magic. So, and then with LeBron, listen, LeBron's the best player in the world. So when he goes to a team that has 2 other all-stars in Wade and Bosh, they better win. That's why they said not 1, not 2. Everybody hated this. I actually liked it. I like bravado. Yeah. Not 1, not 2, not 3. Well, yeah, because you got 3 of the best players in the East together. You should win. Then when he goes to Cleveland, you're absolutely right. Kyrie, we know Kyrie's not a leader. He's not the leader of a team, but man, he's a wonderful number 2. Like, I mean, a great number 2. Yeah. So he gets Kyrie and Love, who you could probably make an argument are what? A younger, you're going to argue maybe better or equal Wade and Bosh, because Wade and Bosh were starting to go on their decline. So he gets a better version of Wade and Bosh, and guess what? They win. Then when he goes to LA, well, how did you rank AD before he was in LA, Jay?
I thought he was one of the better players in the game, but he wasn't the best player on a championship team. I didn't think that he was that guy.
But what was he on the Lakers? Wouldn't you top 10 player in the NBA?
Yes. In fact, when he's healthy, I thought he was a top 5 player in the league.
So if I was a hater, which I'm not, I would say, well, it sounds like LeBron can't win without top 10 talent because that's what he's always done. Always. That's the only time he's won championships. But I don't say that. What do I say? I say I don't blame him. I would have left Cleveland too. I don't blame him. I would have went and played with better players too. That's crazy not to do that.
Well, he had to do that.
And of those best players, he's still the best one of the bunch.
Right.
So we don't use it as a negative. So when people use any of those as a negative, it's lazy. It's lazy.
That's the problem that I have with certain tapes, that it's lazy. So for example, I heard a guy say to me not too long ago that LeBron James is the all-time leader in turnovers in the regular season, turnovers in the playoffs,
turnovers in the finals. Yes.
Now, here's the problem that I have with that, Tone. Number one, this is how many seasons LeBron James led the playoffs, led the regular season in turnovers. 0. Not one time did he not one time did he do that. In the playoffs,
of course, he's played more games than everyone else. Of course, he's going to lead in turnovers.
Right. Not one season. These how many seasons he led the regular season in turnovers? Not one. Zero. That's first of all. Number two, him leading the playoffs in turnovers. Of the 4 of the 5 years that he led the playoffs in turnovers, which we do not talk about, 4 to 5 years that he led the playoffs in turnovers, Tone, he also led them in assists that same year at a 2-to-1 ratio. So that's important to mention. So it wasn't like he was just turning the basketball over. Same logic when in the NBA Finals. LeBron James is the all-time turnover leader in the NBA Finals. Why are you leaving out the fact that he's also second all-time in finals history in assists at a 2-to-1 assist turnover ratio?
Yeah, and I think he's second in games played, and the other Kareem, who never touched the ball, other than down low. He's not dribbling the ball. Yeah, I'm with you. That's what I'm saying. Those things drive me nuts because at the end of LeBron's career, the people that hate him, which people say it's me, and you know that's not true, they're going to say, well, he leads the league all time in turnovers and shots missed, because he will. Well, yeah, because at the end of it, he's going to have played 22 years with a 19, 20-year prime. Right. He better lead in shots made, shots missed, turnovers. He better lead in those things. So that's what drives me nuts is when you use that one little piece of fact. It's fact, but to make a full case on one thing, it drives me nuts.
That's like say, H Boogie, were you at that party last night? Well, yeah, I was there, but there's more to it than that. Number one, it was my best friend's party. That's number one. We got to mention that part. We can't just leave that part out. It was her 21st birthday. So we got to mention that part as opposed to, yeah, Haley, you was out last night till 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. There's much more to this than just that.
Yeah, you have to fill out the stories, but I mean, when it comes to debating basketball or any sport, that's typically how we tend to use the points to try to prove a point, but you have to flesh it out and fill out the whole story.
Well, Tone knows.
NBA Finals. Who scored the most? Who has the most 20-point games in the NBA Finals? Haley. I know Jay knows because I did this to him once before, so I'm gonna ask Haley. Who has the most 20-point games in the NBA Finals? The most games where they scored 20 or more points.
Is it Jordan?
Jerry West. Who has the most 30-point games in the NBA Finals?
Jerry West.
Who has the most 40-point games in the NBA Finals?
Kobe?
Nope.
Jerry West. Just keep saying Jerry West.
He was on the right. He was on the right track.
If I tell you just that part, most 20, 30, 40-point games. Wow, Jerry West is the best finals performer ever. Yeah, except his record's 1-7. 1-8.
Yeah.
1-8 in the finals.
Oh yeah, I missed it. If I forget that stat that he's 1-8, you think, wow, he's the greatest finals player ever. Oh, but he's 1-8. I guess it's not that great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying.
You have to take it all into account.
You have to use it all into account. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Thank you very much.
So cool.
Okay, real quick, because I do want to get into football a little bit, but the whole age eligibility thing that is going on, nothing's set in stone. It's a conversation that's been had before. Yep. Will probably be had again. But I know in the next couple of years, they're thinking about dropping that age to 18. So I guess kind of my question, Fluent, from you, how do you feel about dropping that age? How is this going to impact, obviously, collegiate athletes? And do you have a problem? I mean, we could look at all of time. There's so many greats that obviously came right out that were so successful. There's also athletes that did go through college and ended up being busts, or their maturity, obviously, they had to continue to work on that, and it did affect their career. So how do you feel about this? Do you like it? Would you have liked to have seen it stay this way in the first place? And do you think it is a possibility that the commissioner will have this be changed?
I think they are going to do it because the one and done culture has destroyed the collegiate game, right? Players come in and it's 1 year and they're gone, and it's hurting. I think it's hurt college basketball. My concern, however, and my always concern has been, I hate the straight out of high school rule, because for every Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant, there's a Kwame Brown. There's actually probably 2 Kwame Browns. There's probably 2 to 1, the ones that end up being stars versus the ones that, I'm trying to think of some other, Sebastian Telfair, maybe. There's a guy, I forget his name.
Al Harrington.
Darius Miles. I have it. James Long. Like, if I give you these guys' names, you'll be like, what? Nadudi Abe, I have a list here. Desonge Jop, straight from high school. There's this guy, I can't remember his name. Martell Webster, Travis Outlaw. Now, some of them had okay careers. Eddie Curry, right? Corleone Young. You guys know any of these guys? Robert Swift. Robert Swift never should have came straight out of high school. Leon Smith, probably never heard. Sebastian Telfair, that was the one I was thinking of. Jonathan Bender, who was okay, and then obviously Connor. So what I'm saying is, for the guys that came out and were great, there was a bunch of guys who did it because, hey, I needed money. Now that there's the NIL in college, I think it will hopefully keep those guys in school. I've always thought, just like certain jobs, like I'm in the corporate world, you have to have an MBA to get this job. Right? You want to be a doctor, you have to have a PhD. I think the MBA should have you have to have a university degree or an associate's degree, which I think is 2 years to join the MBA, unless you get an exception. If you get like an exception, hey, you're exceptional, we're going to let you in to the draft. That's what I've always felt, is because anybody coming into the draft, because some agent's going to tell you, or some person who's got their hand in your wallet's going to tell you, hey man, you're the man. Go. You've dominated high school. Might not be ready. Go join. But the teams don't think that. Now you're a second round pick. Now what happens? Your contract's not guaranteed. You're not guaranteed on the roster. You've lost your college eligibility. So because I've seen so many busts more than stars, I'm just like, let them play. Let them make, now that they got their NIL deals, let them make their money, right, to support their families. Because I know that's important. Do that. And then when you're ready, come to the NBA. I think it helps the college game. I think it helps the student athletes. I knew nothing about, now granted I wasn't NBA material, but I knew nothing about money when I was there. If someone dropped $5 million in my lap, it would have been gone in 5 minutes. Right. And so it's like, let's teach those things. There's a reason 72% of athletes are broke 3 years after they retire. 72%, 3 years. Right. I feel like that's what college should do for them, is teach them like those financial pieces. But again, that's more of a whole probably different conversation than we want to have.
I feel like we live in America. And if you're going to send me off to war at 18 years old, if you're going to let me go to Hollywood to pursue fame and riches at 18 years old, if I want to put my name in the NBA draft because I feel like I'm ready, I should be able to do that. However, if I'm going to go to school, then there has to be some incentive for the school as well. And I think that if you're going to go to school, you got to stay in school for 2 years. At minimum, you got to stay in school. If you're going to go to school, you got to stay in school for 2 years. And now that they have incentives like the NIL, now they have ways where you can profit off of this. This could actually benefit you, because let's be clear, Tone, the game, as good as it is today, as skilled as players are today, owners, general managers, they would much rather these kids go to school, and they would much rather them go to school because they would be more pro ready. I remember being 19 years old and looking at Joe Dumars and thinking to myself, I am not prepared for that guy. I am not prepared for that guy. I'm looking at Latrell Sprewell and thinking to myself, I'm not ready for him. I'm too busy trying to figure out if I could play in the SEC as opposed to playing in the NBA. Because at 19 years old, I enjoyed being around 19-year-olds. I enjoyed living in the dorms and eating cafeteria food, as opposed to being 19 years old and I got a staff and I have people that I'm now responsible for, in addition to making a lot of money. So I wasn't ready, not just me in particular, but a lot of these guys, I don't think they are. But I don't think that you should be restricted coming out of high school. If you think you're ready, put your name in the draft. But if you're going to go to school, there has to be at minimum a 2-year commitment. And the reason why
keep going. Sorry.
And the reason why I feel like that is because I feel like on both ends, this is a business deal. This isn't just you're using me just as much as I'm using you. I'm trying to get to the NBA, and in order for me to get there, I got to go to school. And if I want to get there, I got to go to school. Well, in order for you to get there, you got to come play for me. You got to play here for at least. You got to go to school for at least 2 years minimum.
No, I actually really like that. The other thing I would add in to that is, if you enter the draft and you aren't taken in the first round. So if you're taken in the first round, you're out. But if you're not taken in the first round, because they have agents now anyways for their NIL deals, because before it was, well, if you had an agent, you couldn't, you're pro and you can. If you don't get drafted in the first round, you can make the decision to go play for your team as a second round pick or go back to your school.
They do that in in baseball. They do that. Guys get drafted in pro baseball. They go to school. They get drafted in the 8th or the 9th round. They go
the time. Absolutely. And they own their rights. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So I think they should have that opportunity, because when, like, if someone told you bad advice, you'll be a top 10 pick and you don't go until 50, you know what? Maybe I should go back to school. Yeah. Because to your point, ready for the NBA, dude, I knew I wasn't ready for the Big East. Once after I played my first practice, forget a game. We talk about practice. Yeah. So I'm definitely not ready for the NBA. So yeah, it's just, I feel like they have to do this. I think they have to do it because forcing them to do 1 year somewhere, I think ruined it for everybody. It ruined colleges because of the one and dones. It ruined it for the kids that were ready to come in right after high school, or they'd go to Australia or, overseas or whatever. So I think they ruined it for them. So I think they have to. And look, there's guys, again, depending on where you grew up, there's guys who in Europe are playing pro at 16 years old. So by 18, they might be ready, right? Luka.
And on top of that, Tom, there's guys that are in college. I watched Zion, and I'm thinking to myself, what is this dude doing in school? He has no business in school. He's wasting his time in school. And there are exceptions. I see Kobe Bryant, and I think that him playing for the Lakers at the time that he was playing for the Lakers, I think that was the best situation for him with the vets that he was around and the tutelage that he was getting. I think that was a great situation for him. Kevin Garnett did not.
He also, Kobe's dad also played in the league, so he understood the pro,
right?
That stuff, that other stuff that you didn't know. He lived it. Kevin Garnett, you're right. Kevin Garnett was ready. Was it Moses?
Moses did not need to go to school. He did.
He came right out of high school, right?
He did. And he played in the ABA.
Yeah, like there's certain guys, like I said, you just know.
Right. James did not need to go to school. LeBron
did
not need to go.
Yeah, what is Tracy McGrady doing in school? He don't need to go.
But I will say this, Jordan did. I think Jordan did need to go.
Jordan need to go.
He did. So what I mean, it doesn't take away from any of them that they did or didn't, but there's certain guys that are just, hey, you develop faster, because you see guys like, look at a guy like Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Giannis, just the way his body has changed from his first season in the NBA, right? Or AD has grown, I think, 2 inches since he's been in the
Jason
NBA.
Tatum too.
Jason Tatum. Their bodies are still growing and developing, so it's okay. It's just some people take longer. It just
plus to add to
so much.
Plus, Tone, to add to your point, Jordan, guys like that. It was a much older league back then too. We're talking about men during that time. Yeah. So a guy like, there's a reason why Kobe Bryant didn't play as much initially, because it was an older league. There were a lot of vets. There were a lot of guys in front of him. Same thing with Garnett. Even though Garnett came right in and played, it was tough. It was a tough go for him. The reason why it was a tough go for him, he made the All-Star game in his second year. But guys like him, guys like Bryant, guys like James, those guys, I think that it's a little bit of I think it's a stretch for those guys, because I don't think that they needed to go to school, as opposed to other guys who I think that you could have used a year or two of school, and I think that it would have really helped you out and made you a lot better. The one guy that I think about more than anything is Harrison Barnes, and I know that that's not a household name to a lot of people, but I remember Harrison Barnes his freshman year after North Carolina, and him saying, "I'm not ready, and I'm going to go back to school." And he went back to school, and he did what he did his second year, and he was ready and became a lottery pick and turned out to be a really good NBA player, as opposed to rushing himself and going.
That takes a lot of self-awareness.
It does. It absolutely does. I'm not ready. I'm going to go back to school one more year. And he did that, and he came out and he was super sharp.
If I'm staring down the barrel of a $10 million a year contract, it's hard to say.
Come on, Tone.
Back to school. It's hard.
I'm watching Carmelo Anthony, who's his idea going to Syracuse that 1 year. That was all it was. It was supposed to be 1 year, only to find out that, you know what, this place ain't really that bad. In fact, I actually like it here, and I actually want to stay here. Only except he got a $10 million contract from Jordan. He got and on top of that NBA contract. Well, what's the reason why we go to school, Tone? You go to school for a better opportunity at life. Well, I got that opportunity right now. So I can't really turn that down. I have to go.
You have to go. You do. Like, there's certain situations where you just have to go.
Right.
But again, the NIL did change that a little bit. Like, if Carmelo, as an example, was there, they win a national title, and now someone comes to him and says, "Hey, I'm going to give you $2 million
He would have came
whatever.
back.
He's going back. He's going back to Syracuse.
He would have came back to school. So no doubt about that. He would have definitely came back. But guys like Carmelo Anthony, I use guys like that as an example, Tone, because he was in a situation where if he wanted, if he could have, he would have came right out of high school, but he wasn't ready. And it was only going to be a one and done at Syracuse, only to find out that, you know what, this place ain't really that bad. In fact, I like it here. And I don't know if I want to go, but I have to go.
You know, if LeBron would have gone to school, the Cavs could have picked Carmelo. And then if they would have still stunk, then got LeBron the next year, they could have both of them.
No, boy.
Just say it.
I don't know about that.
No,
but yeah, I mean,
Carmelo probably helps them win a few. I don't know. Maybe it's Cleveland. Maybe they still do get the first round pick again, back to back. The Bulls got first. Didn't the Bulls had two number one picks? Yeah, back to back. Why not?
The what ifs. But yeah, as far as the age thing goes, I think you shouldn't dictate somebody's maturity. You shouldn't, have too much control. So we'll see what happens. We'll stay on top of it though.
I will tell you this, H. I will say this really quick in closing. Now, football is a little bit different because football, you're dealing with the physicality, you're dealing with a lot of grown-ups, and in football, they got rules. You got to go to school for 3 years minimum. You got to be out of high school 3 years in order to play football. And the reason why that is because I don't think Adrian Peterson, as good of running back as he is, as big as he is he prepared coming right out of high school to play in the NFL? I doubt that very seriously. But I think he's more prepared after year 3 at Oklahoma than he would be coming right out of high school. So I think it's a little bit different. And I think that in that aspect, I think that works. But in other aspects, there are exceptions. So like the NBA, for example, I mean, there are guys who at 18 years old, I don't think that they need school.
Yeah. And they should have that choice.
Yeah.
Vamp. Shout out for you, Fluent.
Yeah, you're going to say it too. I'll let you say it. Go.
Yeah, I got you. Fluent, you were really good on the NFL player's choice.
Yeah, I was on fire last night. It's true. I was on fire.
Yeah, you're spitting. Okay.
Someone came with a little bit, wasn't that fluent, so we had to make him. Now he's more fluent.
Did you talk about your Bears?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They almost sucked me in, Tone. They did.
Don't get sucked in.
I was watching them on Sunday early. I'm thinking to myself, with these dudes, could they go 2-0 and end up being at the top of the division? And then I started watching them and I saw it going this way. I was like, okay, I'm
Listen, you can only, when you're playing with your owner, like you have to let them win at the end of the game. So Rodgers, you knew Rodgers was going to bring that team back.
Jay, real quick, how do you feel about having Jimmy back?
What did we talk about, H Boogie? This is what it should have been from the beginning.
Do you feel that energy come back? That energy just seeped back into everybody.
Well, but here's the problem, H Boogie. We need a backup quarterback.
Yeah, that's what. Well, our third string isn't.
Who's the backup now?
Right.
No, I'm at it.
I don't know, Tom.
Purdy, I think.
Oh my God.
Somebody Purdy. Yeah, he's not. I mean, he did all right in preseason.
Because Jimmy G's gonna. You all know. H. He's gonna get banged up. You know that's gonna happen. You know that Jimmy's gonna get banged up.
He's gonna miss a couple of games.
Yeah. We do need a backup quarterback now. We need a back. And if the plan was what we talked about right from the beginning, to stick with Jimmy G and Trey Lance will be our backup quarterback. But instead, no, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna rush the kid. Yeah. Now we broke him. And he's done for the season. And now we're going to stick with Jimmy G, who I thought we should have stuck with right from the beginning. Yep. And now we basically got to go with him for the rest of the way, hoping that he holds up.
We have to, which he won't. Like, that's almost guaranteed that he won't. God. And this is without Kittle. This is without Mitchell. Right. So we'll see how that goes. I just wanted to see how you both were feeling.
Is Kittle going to play? What's going on with Kittle?
Got a hamstring issue.
I don't know.
Yeah, he got a hamstring issue. It's good. It's worse than what it was initially regarded as and what it was initially diagnosed as, and it was supposed to be like a week or 2 weeks. No, it's definitely worse than that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get him back to like week 3 or week 4. I wouldn't be surprised. You
should probably, you know what? I'm just as I'm watching this game, you should probably just call it Pittsburgh and take Mitch Trubisky because he's not going to be starting after today. Or Mason Rudolph. No, it's 14-13, but or Mason Rudolph maybe. Like they don't need. They're not.
They don't need a quarterback.
They don't. Yeah, those like just to have an arm like Mason Rudolph's not horrible. We know you to get at this point, right?
But we know that Trubisky is a bridge quarterback in Pittsburgh. We know that Kenny Pickett is the guy moving forward, but he needs that bridge. You can't throw him out there yet, Tone, because again, it's the same situation with Trey Lance. He ain't ready, and you don't want to screw him up. He needs this. He needs that bridge, which he's got right now with Trubisky.
Yeah.
I just listen. If they're going to be losing games, they might as well give the kid experience and see what they got and lose games. Like it's not costing them games. They're going to lose them anyways with Mitch. So you might as well just unless he's that bad and they just have no faith in him to be on the field, then okay.
Yeah.
Then okay. Shout out. You should give Jillian a shout out because her Giants are by far the worst 2-0 team in football.
Hello, Jillian dear.
Real quick. The Giants are playing
the Cowboys on Monday Night Football.
Cowboys. Okay, what are the odds that the Giants go 3-0? What are the odds?
H Boogie. All I'm gonna say is talk the tone.
Let's talk about it.
I'm not even gonna talk about the Giants. Just talk the tone about what I said to him 2 months ago about the Giants. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say another word. Just talk the tone.
He said, okay, first of all, find the question that I'm ducking because I've never ducked a question, Keyshawn.
We got you laughing.
Okay.
We got you.
Okay, we get that question. I don't know what question he's talking about. Two, Jay said that the Giants tricked me last year. I thought they were going to make the playoffs and they sucked me in and they sucked. But I think this is their year. Danny Dimes, he's going to get them. This is their year to prove that they can. No, it's the worst 2-0 team you've ever seen. Just think about it. Hold on. I'm sorry. Just listen. They beat the worst team in football, who we just didn't know was going to be the worst team in football, the Tennessee Titans, by 1 point. And they beat the Carolina Panthers, who are horrible, by 3 points. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
You think Tennessee is garbage, Tom? You think they garbage?
Garbage. Hot garbage. Yeah.
Yeah, they're.
I really thought they wouldn't be. Like, I thought they'd be in contention, for their AFC South, not like for anything big, but wow, they look horrible. They just look horrible. Like, even Derrick Henry does not look like Derrick Henry. He looks like
he's a shell of himself.
Henry. Like, I don't know who the hell he is. He's not Derrick. That's not Derrick Henry.
It's sad. I bet on them too. I thought that they could pull out a win and get it done, or at least put up a fight, and then it was just it was gross. I can't.
Yeah. Sorry, Jillian, dear. The Giants aren't that good. Although I will say this. The one thing the Giants do have going for them, go look at their schedule. If they can beat bad teams, like they have a stretch where they literally can go 8-2 because they play like the Jags, the Titans, the Bears. Like they play a lot of Seattle. Like they play a lot of bad teams. Their schedule is so forgiving.
Is that the fool's gold, Tone, that you're talking about?
It's that fool's gold because what'll happen is they throw in like the Packers and then they'll throw in like a Rams and they're going to get blown out by 50. People are like, oh, maybe not. But they have so many. If Dallas stays horrible with Cooper Rush, which I know but let's be honest, with Cooper Rush, they're not a team. There's just so many windows. Like, I don't like here. If I may, sorry, I just banged my mic. Like, let me go through the list because I did this last night too, and it blew my
Giant
mind.
Schedule.
It blew my mind how many bad teams they are playing. So let me quickly just go who they're playing this week on Monday night. You said right against Dallas.
They got the Cowboys.
So they got Dallas. They got Dallas at home. That's a winnable game. I'm not saying they're winning. It's a winnable game. Okay.
I think they do.
So listen. So hear me out. So let's say they beat Dallas because Dallas is not good.
3-0.
Then they got the Bears. Well, heck, we know the Bears aren't good, so that's an opportunity to win.
4-0.
4-0. Okay, then they got the Packers. Okay, that's probably a loss. Let's be honest.
Okay.
And the Ravens, right? Ravens are probably a loss too. So they're at 4-2. So from 4-2, then they've got the Jags.
They'll beat them.
Seahawks,
5,
the
6,
Texans,
7.
Now the Lions, probably a loss.
We'll see.
Let's go 7-3. Let's go 7-3. Just the benefit of the doubt. Then they got the Cowboys again.
Beat them again.
That's
Get them out of here.
The Commanders.
Oh yeah.
I think that I don't know. I think that's a loss because I think Washington's a lot better.
Okay, I say they split with the Commanders.
Right.
So call that's 9-4. The Eagles 9-5. The Vikings 9-6.
No, 10. We are Tone. What did you see from
their defense?
What? Not only their defense. What did you see? What did you see from Kirk Cousins? So
it's not prime time. It's not prime time. He can't play at 8:30. He cannot play at 8:30. They actually, what they should do is in primetime games, and thankfully for Minnesota, they only have one more this season. They should start Kalen Mond just on the primetime games. He will do better than Kirk Cousins. So hold on. So we're at 9-5, and then they've got the Colts. And the Eagles again. I think they 10 games.
I think
like there's 10 winnable games on their schedule. I'm not including the ones that are iffy. There's 10 winnable games. Like that's crazy.
Is it ridiculous for me to say, Tone, that 10 wins might be able to win the NFC East?
That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous.
I'm just saying.
Isn't it funny how I use your own voice to answer your? I think that's actually. I think that's hilarious.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, so that Jillian, honestly, like this, not to get your hopes up because I'm sure you have no expectations, but I'm in it with you. I'm so excited.
I'll say this: if I'm a playoff team, that's the team I want to play first. If they make it, I want to play the Giants first.
As long as they don't have to play the 49ers, I'm straight. Because every time the Giants hit the playoffs with the 49ers, they drop us.
Really?
The year we went to the bowl game against Baltimore. The year before that, we lost to the Giants in the NFC Championship. When I found out that the Giants wasn't making the playoffs, I was like, we're going to the Super Bowl.
But in recent history,
I was like, we're going to the bowl game. I knew it.
Yeah, I think recent history probably differs a little bit. Do we have? Okay, let's do the question that I'm ducking, and then
and then we'll do your segment.
So I want everyone to know in the chat we're doing a special edition because you're going to hear like a new intro of. So I have another show called Crunching the Numbers. I'm just going to be very honest with my, I love the people in our chat, so I'm gonna be honest with them. We're gonna do a special edition of Crunching the Numbers, which is a show that I do it's a Canadian network only, called the Fired Up Network. And so I needed to tape it, so I could either tape it after the show, or I can have two guests on who are already here, and you guys in the chat, and we're gonna go through every game. So that's what we're gonna do. But first, let's get to the question I'm ducking.
Yeah. So the question Fluent's ducking, I believe, is right. Where are it? It was from Keyshawn, right? Oh yeah. Okay. Wait.
I don't think it was from Keyshawn. Keyshawn said I was ducking it. I think it's from my laughing effect.
Oh yeah, that one was good. Okay. Fluent, as a man who knows football, does Aaron Rodgers not making the Super Bowl after 13-3 seasons in a row and back-to-back MVPs, is him not making the Super Bowl as worse as Braun losing the finals?
Okay, so Aaron Rodgers, it absolutely is worse than Braun losing in the finals, because Braun losing in the finals lost to some all-time great teams. And in most cases, the ones that he lost, with the exception of Dallas, he wasn't the favorite. So the other team was the favorite to win. So he just didn't, but he did overcome other times, like a 3-1 deficit where he shouldn't have won, and he did. Whereas Aaron Rodgers, who's there's a reason people call him Frogers, and people say, well, that's because you're a hater. No, it's because Aaron Rodgers plays a certain way. He is phenomenal, and just phenomenally talented is what I was going to say. He can make every throw. The problem is he plays very, very, very safe MVP award-winning football. And what do I mean by that? Look at his touchdowns to interception ratio. It's so impressive because he plays it safe. There were times when he doesn't take chances because he doesn't want to throw a pick. And people will say, well, that's good, he doesn't throw picks. But no, it also takes him away from winning some tough games. So him having that many MVPs, being, the best, people would say he was for a stretch, the best quarterback. He's always in the top 3, even this year, top 3 quarterbacks in the league, and only ever making one Super Bowl and in that game, he played terrible in the NFC Championship game, and it was the defense that took him there. Yeah, that's his career. People will look at it and say, oh my God, he was so great and so talented, because they get fooled by the skill and the eye test. His career, when he retires, for me, he is considered a failure, because at the end of the day, the goal is to win Super Bowls, and he did not do that. He lost to the Niners, 3 times, 4 times? He didn't make it. He made it to the Super Bowl just think about it once. Patrick Mahomes has been in the league 4 years and made it and won. Has been twice. won once and been there twice. So yeah, I would think if that's the end goal to win a Super Bowl, his career has been a failure. And I think it is worse than Braun losing in the finals. Absolutely. If he made it to the Super Bowl 3-4 times and lost and, won a couple, I'd say, okay, cool. At least he made it there. And I'm sure there's a reason he lost, but he couldn't even make it out of the NFC. So yeah, I think it's a failure.
I watched Russell Wilson throw 3 interceptions in the NFC Championship game, and they still won. I'm out. I could go.
There's
on.
So many other examples, but yeah,
I could go on to a number of different
last year
ones.
was like, what was it? Something about the punt. I'm like, well, no. If he's the greatest quarterback, if he's supposed to lead your team, he should get that first down, so you don't have to punt.
Good. I'm straight on. I'm straight on Aaron Rodgers. I watched Russell Wilson throw 3 interceptions, and they end up winning that game. And Russell Wilson is in tears because he knows for a fact we're gonna lose, and it's gonna be because of me. And they didn't pull that out. I watched Colin Kaepernick throw for 200 yards and run for 200 yards on Green Bay, in Green Bay, going to the bowl game. I'm out on Aaron Rodgers. I'm straight.
And let me just say this too, right? Here's the thing, because people are going to say I'm knocking him. At the end of the day, when he's going to be like almost undoubtedly a top 10 NFL quarterback of all time.
Yep.
Just because of everything he's done, you have to put him there. But if you're being real, it's been a below expectation career, right? There's very few people who meet expectations. There's even fewer who exceed expectations, right? I always use LeBron as the example of a guy who he came in as the chosen one and the king and exceeded those expectations. That's incredible to do. Aaron Rodgers, 100%. Below expectation.
From a talent standpoint, it's difficult to
not from talent. Yeah, not from all the talent in the world.
Yeah, from a talent standpoint, I can't name 5 quarterbacks better than him. But when I think about a guy who didn't produce nearly as much as he could have in the postseason, I have a difficult time putting guys like I have a difficult time putting him ahead of guys like Drew Brees and Joe Montana. I have a difficult time with that.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're here to win championships. If you can't do that, not that everything else is nothing, like that's all huge, but you have to win. You have to win to back it up, I think. So, okay, last question. This is for you, Jay, because Keyshawn's asked it a bunch of times and I've skipped over it. So in like a minute, he said, I'm shutting down this Melo score debate. Russ achieved way more than Melo as a scorer, and Russ is not a top 10 scorer. I'm coming with Heat.
You ain't coming with nothing. You the same dude that told me that Kyrie Irving is the most complete or the best offensive player of his generation. Give me a break already with you. Carmelo Anthony averaged 26 a game for a decade. What are you talking about? Not only did he average 26 a game for a decade, he was an integral part of what they were doing in Denver. You're not coming with heat. You're coming with logic that's sideways. This dude here, he always gives me sideways logic. It never makes any sense, and I'm so sick of burying this dude. Carmelo Anthony averaged 26 a game for a decade. Took his team to the Western Conference Championship, and he was that dude from the door. Russell Westbrook for an 8-year span when he was running with Kevin Durant, 22 a game. Give me a break, man. Give me a break.
I believe
it's
He's
just trying to get under your skin.
Illogic.
He knew what he was doing.
All right,
but yeah.
Are we ready? Are we ready?
Yes, we are. Let's do it.
Let's go.
All right, do it.
All right, everybody's ready. All right,
let's do it.
It's like a new show's about to start, so let's give ourselves. We'll go to Miami. Yeah, it's crunching the numbers, basketball jersey edition.
Let's go.
I brought some friends along, COULDN32 and Halftime Haley. Go check them out at COULDN32 and at Halftime Haley, wherever you go on social. All right, so jumping into crunching the numbers, we are going to do something a little bit different today. We are live on a different stream. So if you hear us talking about the chat, that's where it's coming from. We're still going to go through every slate of games. I'm going to give you the spreads, and this time all 3 of us are going to make our picks. Mm-hmm. And hey, chat, if you're fast enough on the draw and tell us who you think will win, we'll say your name and put you in there too. So we're going to start right off the bat with the most important game of this weekend.
The Bears.
The Houston Texans travel to Chicago.
Of course. Oh my
Here we
God.
Travel to
go.
Chicago. The Bears are 3-point favorites with the Texans coming in. I'll go last. Haley, let's go ladies first.
Bears and Texans.
Yep.
I'm gonna go Texans just to mess with you.
I'm taking the Bears.
Haley, this might be your last appearance on Crunching the Numbers. This will be a Bears win by four. So take the Bears, even as they're home favorites, 3 points. They can do that. By Sebastian Lopez says Texans win. Yes, but do they come? Do the Texans win just outright? No, Sebastian, no. We will not be picking your picks for the rest of the show. All right, the next game, the disappointing. Oh yeah, I'm just muting people out of the chat if their picks are wrong. You're lucky. I'm going to keep you on because we need you.
Cool. Yeah.
Jillian picks the Bears. We are good with Jillian. All right, here we go. The next one is the Las Vegas Raiders. The disappointing Las Vegas Raiders. Let's be honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Traveling to play the worst team in the NFL, the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are home dogs, 2.5 points. 2.5 points. So can the Raiders cover a 2.5 point spread in Tennessee?
Yes.
I think
so you got the Raiders.
Yep, I'm taking the Raiders.
I got the Raiders.
Clean sweep on the Raiders. I love it. Listen, I think we're going to see what we expected from the Raiders in week 1. It might be fool's gold because Tennessee's not, like I said, Tennessee's not as good as we thought they were going to be. All right. This one actually should be an interesting matchup. I thought, you know what I thought? I thought the Chiefs were done in the sense that not done, they were done dominating.
Without Tyreek.
I still thought they'd be like a playoff team and everything, but I thought they were done dominating the league. Boy, was I wrong. So Chiefs go into Indianapolis to play the Colts. They are sixth. The Chiefs are 6.5 point favorites. Are we taking the Chiefs down 6.5 or the Colts and the points?
Chiefs. All the way.
Tone,
yeah.
Get Matt Ryan off my television. And I'm not asking, get him off my TV. Do it now. That's all I'm gonna say. I ain't gonna say nothing else, Tone.
Agreed.
You don't like Matty Ice?
Get Matt Ryan off my television, Tone. That's all I'm gonna say.
No.
Yeah. If I will the Chiefs win? The question is, will the Chiefs win by a touchdown? So the answer is 100. Yeah. That's like, I think that's like the lock of the week.
JH and the entire chat agree. We are all in unison. Chiefs.
Everybody in the chat, like everybody gets a shout out. Sebastian, Jillian, Justin, Busted. Everybody gets everyone's like 13, 20. Okay, we're all on the Chiefs. I will call you out if you're wrong. All right, next one. This one's a game. This one's a game that I will be flipping back to from the Bears game, or actually, I'll probably do up the 4 screens for this one. Bills traveling to the comeback kids. Tua, Hill, Waddle, speed kills. Can Buffalo, road favorites, 5.5 points? Or are you taking the Dolphins with the points, 5.5 points?
As much as I want to give this one to the Dolphins, I'm excited for them. I love what they have going on. I'm going to give it to the Bills. I just have so much faith in them.
So you're taking the Bills and it's not close because it's 5.5 points.
Oh, it's under 5.5?
Yeah, 5.5.
I'm still taking the Bills.
Still Bills?
I am. I think
right.
Tua might struggle. I think some of that pressure might go under. So yeah, I'm going Bills.
Okay.
I think that Buffalo is looking like one of the better teams in the game. And I don't think Tua emptied it last week. Don't get me wrong. I don't see 7 touchdowns this weekend or something like that. But I like what this Dolphins team is doing. And I think it's going to be closer than what you think, Tone. But I do think Buffalo beats them.
So initially, so I have, you guys don't know, but I have like a thing where I have my picks so I can remember who I'm picking because I want to stay consistent. I originally had clicked on the Dolphins. And the more I think about that Bills defense, and don't forget, I've picked the Bills to make the Super Bowl. And as that game went on last week with the Ravens, I'm like, oh, maybe the Dolphins are for real. And then I realized, it looked like the Ravens defense let up a little.
Yeah.
I think the Bills defense is going to give Tua fits. And so I've actually changed my mind and I'm going with the chat because everybody in the chat as well, even DJ's got the Bills by a touchdown. I'm with you guys. I'm going with the Bills in Miami to win on the road. Oof. Where are we? Detroit are such, like, I want to root for them. Even though they're in our division, I want to root for Detroit. Remember, like, when the Cubs were like the lovable losers? That's how I feel about the Lions now. Like, you root for them, except when they're playing your team. But they're going into Minnesota. Minnesota's coming off a typical horrible Kirk Cousins primetime show. They should never let Kirk Cousins play after 4 p.m. I believe his bedtime. I believe his bedtime. I believe I'm going to start calling him Boca, because I feel like he has to eat the early bird special at 4 and be in bed by 5:30, like everybody I know from Boca Raton. Well, you're from around there, or you live around there now, Jay. You see those guys like 6 o'clock. Their lights are. So the Lions go into Minnesota to play the Vikings. Vikings are favorites, obviously, by 6. So who we got? Lions, Vikings.
That game, I mean, I don't know or care, but I guess if I'm going to have to take one, I'm going to go with an underdog pick just for fun. I'm going to take the Lions.
I'm taking Detroit, Tone. You know how, Tone, you and I had this conversation.
I know you like the Lions.
I do like them, Tone.
So here's the thing. Here's why I'm picking the Lions as well. And here's why I'm picking the Lions. Ooh. The Lions, especially in division games, last year lost 7 or 8 games by 1 possession. So they'll probably lose, but they'll keep it close. I'm thinking like it's going to be like a 27-23 type of game. Yeah, 27-23, which gives me the thing. So I've got the Lions. I'm with you guys. All right. Oof. I felt like I've said oof a lot. There's some good matchups this week. The Baltimore Ravens, after, let's be honest, being embarrassed in that fourth quarter, 4 touchdowns by Tua in the fourth quarter. It's like Al Bundy. Touchdowns in one game. Al Bundy did in one game. Tua did 4 touchdowns in 1 quarter. Ravens go to play the Patriots. They are favorited, though. The Ravens are by 3. Which Patriots team do we see? The horrible week 1 team or the not so bad week 2 team?
I got the Ravens.
I think Baltimore.
And I got it by at least a touchdown.
That's where I'm at. I'm with H Boogie on this. I think they go in there and they handle them after that performance last week, because some people are there's some heads on the chopping block this week. Yeah, and they know that.
And that Lamar MVP. Let's go.
Yeah,
Lamar MVP. Listen, Lamar still played great last week. Just because they lost, it's not like he didn't play well. He
had over 400 all-purpose yards, and they still
it was insane.
He's a break. I'm with you guys. I think the Ravens. Big, like anything more than 7 is big. So I think Ravens big over the Patriots. And there's one person. Look at this. City Boy and Busted are taking the Patriots. Oh, we'll see. It's all laughs. Okay. Maybe that's a joke. Says Pat's in a close one. So we'll see. It's all laughs. It won't be funny if you're a Ravens fan if they lose 2 in a row.
Quick side note, Tone, and I know you tape for this. Quick side note: this quarterback from West Virginia, Daniels, is garbage. I just want to put that out there. He is garbage. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay. We're going to go into on crunching the numbers. Right now we're only doing football, but I'm going to have you guys back because once basketball season starts, we're going to do some basketball. We're not going to do college sports. But why are you picking on my alma mater? That's not nice. All right. Cincinnati Bengals. The disappointing the 0-2 Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are.
The team that went to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Didn't they upgrade their offensive line?
It doesn't look like it.
They said so.
Yeah, that's what they told us.
Allegedly, that's the word.
You know what they're gonna give Joe Burrow?
What?
Emotional, damn it!
You can't get sacked. You can't get sacked that much without.
Yeah, it's sad. I feel bad.
Okay, the good news is, don't fall for their win. The good news is they're going into New Jersey to play the Jets. They're only. Because of their 0-2, they're only 4.5 favorites. Can they cover 4.5 points against the Jets? Jets.
Yeah, I mean, it seems so obvious that it should be the Bengals, that it would be the Bengals. Who knows? But yeah, I'm taking the Bengals, and I think they should be able to cover that. I think Joe's gonna come out with fury. I think he's done with what's been going on, and I think they're gonna come out strong. I hope so. I like the Bengals though.
H Boogie, Get Flacco off my TV. I'm not playing with you. Okay, I'm not playing with you. Stop playing with me. Get Flacco off my TV.
I'm done with him too. I'm done. What is that? How are they?
Shots fired.
What a waste of a game. Like I just can't. I just can't. But yeah, Bengals all the way.
So you got Bengals, Jay?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, we got 3 picks, and it looks like, and the chat agrees, we got 4 picks for the Bengals finally getting in the win column. Because if they lose this week, they might want to just pack up the season and start looking towards next season.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia Eagles. I like these divisional games. Go into Washington. As a person I used to know, used to call it Washington. I don't know where that R came from. To play the now Commanders. I hope they should just change their name every year. I think that would be fun. Just like a different name every year.
Mm-hmm.
So the Washington Commanders are, the Eagles are 6.5 point favorites. So they got to win by at least a touchdown in Washington with Carson Wentz looking like Carson Wentz. We haven't talked. He looked pretty good. Can he stay on Can he stay on your TV?
Yes. Carson Wentz. I'm good with Washington. I'm actually digging him. I think this is going to be a really good test for Washington for Philly this weekend. I do. Really good test for them.
Can they win by 7? By 7?
Philly looks, to me, Tone, they look like they might be the best team in the NFC, yo.
Hurts is
in the NFC
MVP running.
Whoa, time out.
I'll say it one more time for the people in the cheap seats. Philly looks to me like they might be the best team in the NFC right now.
Like better than the Rams, better than the Bucs?
Yes.
They look like they might be the best. Jalen Hurts
in the 49ers?
Jalen Hurts looks like he has commanded this offense. He looks like he knows what he's doing. I'd like to see them involve Devontae a little bit more. But from what I see, and I understand that AJ Brown is on the edge, and that's his guy, and I'd like to see them involve Devontae a little bit more. But from what I'm seeing, Tone, this Philadelphia team look like they might be the best team in the NFC right now.
I want to hear those words come out of your mouth. The Eagles are right now ahead of the 49ers.
They are.
Wow.
They are. We're still in transition, Tone. We're still in transition. We're changing quarterbacks. We're still getting our offense figured out. Jalen Hurts right now, he looks like he's ahead of the curve, and I like what they're doing in Philly. I do.
Okay, so are you picking Philly to beat the Commanders by 6.5? Okay, you got Philly. Haley?
Yeah, I'm high on Hurts. I'm high on the Eagles. I love it. Like if we somehow can't make it, I'm Eagles all the way. I'm rooting for them. So and I think they can do it by a touchdown. I think they should be able to.
Right. Well, I don't have a wolf. I don't have a wolf howling, but I should get one because I'm the lone wolf. I'll give you a woo because I don't have a woo. I'm going with the Commanders to keep it close. I still think the Eagles win, but these divisional games I think are tight. So I'm going to take the Commanders with 6.5 points.
I think that's fair.
Now we go down to Nolans. Actually, no, Nolans goes to Carolina. They are Saints are 3-point favorites against the horrible Carolina Butter. Carolina Butter Panthers. Who do you got? Do you got the Saints licking that butter off their fingers, or the Panthers with the 3 points? It's back to you, Haley.
Oh, gross. Another gross game. I love I love the Saints. I've just been a huge fan. I like Jameis as a person, but man, they look bad. Not that the Panthers look any better, but I'm gonna take the Saints. I'm gonna go Saints this one and hope for the best. What are they by 3? 3.5?
Yeah. 3.
I'd take that. Yeah.
All the chat has the Saints so far. Jay?
Okay.
I'm taking Carolina. Even though they got an average quarterback who I recognize right now. I think he's an average.
Why are you complimenting him?
I think he's an average quarterback. I watch as much as I want this guy, as much as I want Jameis to be that guy, he shows me every week. You know who I equate him to? I equate him to Russ. I had such high hopes. I had such high hopes for him, and then to find out that Jameis doesn't do his homework. He doesn't. Either he doesn't do his homework, Tone, or he just doesn't get it. And I think that because when I watch him throw when I watch him throw in the double coverage, and I'm thinking to myself, that dude is not open. What are you looking at? I'm in the film room watching him, saying to myself, what are you looking at? Because that dude is not open. I know that there's a small window, but there has to be different progressions. Has to be. So what are you looking at right there? So I'm
so
good.
here's what drives you nuts about Jameis is that 1 week you're like, hey, he looks pretty good. And the next week you're like, oh, he looks horrible. Well, this is the week where he looks
inconsistent
based on his rotation. Thank you, Sebastian Lopez. Get Baker off my TV. Yeah, 100%. Get Baker off my TV. I'm going with the Saints big because this is his turn to have a good game. And I believe, hopefully for my fantasy team, Alvin Kamara is back, which I think made a difference last week too. So I'm gonna stick with the Saints because I need some points from Alvin Kamara. So I hope he plays and I hope he has a big game. The chat is the chat's Saints. It's a little split, more Saints than Panthers, but we're gonna go with the Saints. The Jacksonville Jaguars get a win. 17-0. Beautiful game against the team. They have their number. I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter who's playing for the Colts. If they go to Jacksonville, they're losing. I don't care. They could bring Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, Marshall Faulk all back, and they'd still go to Jacksonville and lose. They got a nice easy game this week after their win last week. They get to go to LA to play the Chargers.
Oh boy.
Chargers favored by 7.
Yeah, I mean, I got the Chargers.
I think they handle them. I think the LA Chargers handle them. Yep.
Yeah.
Chargers by what? 70.
Like 65 probably. I'll give them like
65.
around 65.
Yeah.
Chargers in a landslide. But hey, good for the Jaguars. You know, they got their win. That's good for them. I think after everything that happened last year.
You had mentioned that Detroit one, Tone. I forgot to tell you. Either Philadelphia and Washington, their defense is whack, or Detroit offense is a lot better than what I think.
It could be both.
Mm-hmm.
Could be both.
Yeah.
The next game. We're sticking with LA teams.
Yep.
We're moving to the 4:00 games, I believe. Yes, we are. Oh, that was the Jags was a 4:00 game too. Rams going into the big toaster. Do people still call it that in Arizona? Because when I was there, we called it the big or they called it the big toaster. I didn't like that name, but because it looks like a big toaster.
Like a bowl.
The Rams go to Arizona to play the Cardinals. Rams favored by 3.5.
I got Cardinals. I'm taking Cardinals.
Oh wow, that was fast.
Give it to me. Yep.
Me too, H.
Get those Rams out of here. They're frauds. I'm done with them. I don't want to hear about. They're the Nets in the NFL for me. I don't want to talk about them. They have to prove something. Just because you won last season, good for you. I mean, and normally I'm not like that. Normally I give due respect and I say congratulations, like you earned it. But there's something about the Rams that just like.
The problem that you have with them, H Boogie.
Matt Stafford.
The problem that you have with them is that we own them. That's the problem that you have with them.
And it should have been us.
That's it. Y'all ain't had no business in the bowl game. We own these dudes.
Right.
And I like the Arizona. I like the momentum that they got going into this weekend. I'm going to roll with Arizona, Tone.
To beat a man, you got to beat the man.
And I just don't think Arizona's beating the man. So I'm going with the Rams. 3.5 points, no problem. The Cardinals tricked you last week. They're not that team. And here's the beauty of the Cardinals, the thing that I know with their coach. They're not going to make any adjustments. So just watch last game and you'll know exactly.
Agrees with us,
you're going to know exactly.
Chad agrees with us.
You can all be wrong. It's okay. And you'll know exactly what they're going to do. That's why every time Kingsbury has a team, they always get worse and worse and worse as the season goes on. So they might have a chance because it's early. It's only week 3.
Yeah, it's week 3.
All right, you guys rolling with the Cardinals. I'm rolling with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Allen Robinson's gonna have a big day. Oh no, wait. Cooper Kupp's gonna have a big day. That's why I have in fantasy. That's all that matters. Who I have in fantasy. They have a big day. All right. Atlanta. Do you remember how to do the Dirty Bird? Remember how to do it?
You know how you feel about the Rams? That's how I feel about the Dirty Bird.
Well, they going to Seattle.
Yeah.
Seattle is favored by 2. This is really just a pick'em game, let's be honest. So he got Falcons or Seahawks. Seahawks at home.
Just because the Seahawks are at home, I'm going to take the Seahawks.
I think Atlanta's the worst team in football.
Yeah, I agree. We said that before the season started. We agreed on that, and I'm still there.
I think they're the worst team in football. So
yeah, give me Geno.
Yep.
Geno and the Hawks.
Yep.
I so want to change my pick because everybody's picking the Seahawks, but It is. I have the Seahawks too. I do have the Seahawks. I feel like Mariota's not like, look, he's not a starter in this league, but I don't think he's as bad as we make him out to see. Like he's okay, but the Seahawks, you're right. Atlanta's just a bad team. But yes, I've got the Seahawks.
Whoa, Tone. Yes, he is a starter. Is he a starter on a playoff team?
No. I know when I say he's not a starter, I mean like he's starting on a team.
Right.
He's not a top 32 quarterback. Is what I'm saying. He shouldn't be. Like his team, he's not leading a team to the playoffs. Sure, fine. I don't think he should be starting. I think just like Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky is a starting quarterback, but he's not a starting quarterback, if that makes sense.
A star quarterback, yeah.
All right, Green Bay, the Packers, Aaron Rodgers going into Tampa to play the GOAT, Thomas Brady, 1.5 point favorite Bucks, I guess, because it's in Tampa. Can Aaron Rodgers go in against that defense? And I feel like I'm a movie guy now, and get it done against the Bucks defense.
That's tough. I really want to see their record, like what their record against each other is, just to give me more insight. But I think I'm going to go with the Bucks on this one, mainly because we saw what that defense looks like. It is so tough, and it's Tom Brady. And recently how Aaron Rodgers has kind of been playing. Obviously, last week was a bit better, but they're still working through. They have these young guys that I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up. So you got these vets versus these younger guys. I'm going to take the vets all the way.
Even though Mike Evans isn't playing, right? He's got his suspension.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
That's where I was going. I was thinking Mike Evans not being in the lineup is going to be a big deal. Yeah, it is. It's going to be a big deal.
I'll still take Tampa.
So you're picking. All right. So Haley's got the Bucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could be close.
I'm taking the Bucks also. Even though Mike Evans is not going to be in the lineup, and that offense kind of stalled last week without him. I mean, with him in the lineup, but once he went out, that offense got rolling. I think that fight basically gave them the momentum. I think that they overcome a lot of their mistakes, and I think that they handle Green Bay this weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read a couple of the chats because they're worth reading. DJ's got Tampa by 17. I like that thinking. Sebastian's got the Bucks by 9, and the GOAT shows him, I'm assuming Aaron Rodgers, who the better number 12 is. TB12 over AR12. So we got a lot of Tampa love. Bet on TB12 every time. Those young receivers on the Packers are going to struggle against that defense. That's the part that I think is that Aaron Rodgers has no trust in those receivers. Like he's throwing a Randall 80-year-old Cobb, when he's on third down possessions. That's how much he trusts, Watson and Lazard and others. So I'm with you. I'm going with Tampa Bay. I think it's a clean sweep on Tampa Bay, with or without Evans. I think they win. This one. I wonder where you're going with this one. FYI, for those who are watching this later on, these two are both 49er fans. So you got the Sunday nighter 49ers with Jimmy G against the team that I picked to finish last in the AFC West with the worst quarterback in the AFC West. And now everyone laughed when I said that at the beginning of the season. Damn, I'm looking pretty smart right now. Mm-hmm. They go into the Broncos. 49ers are only 1.5 point favorites in Denver and Mile High. Do they have a problem with the altitude up there, guys?
Not the altitude.
No.
How does it feel? Hey, let me ask you, how does it feel? You don't know this, Haley, but Jay's got a crush on the Broncos. He's got an orange crush.
I do.
When your favorite team plays your side thing there, where are you going?
Yeah.
I have been secretly having an affair with the Denver Broncos for over the last 20
With
years.
everything going on in Boston, you might want to use a different.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. I have been. We've been involved, and we've been involved.
Yeah.
They're in an entanglement.
Yes, we are. Yeah, that's going on. That is going on.
Okay. Well, Jay, honestly, do you have the Niners in this one?
Tony and I had this conversation, Haley, about a month ago, and I think that the Broncos are the worst team in the AFC West. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I'm taking the Niners, and the thing that I'm worried about is Russell Wilson owns us. That's the thing.
Russell Wilson with the Seahawks, isn't it? Do you think it's a different Russell Wilson?
But what if something just kicks in with him?
Yeah, that's the thing
that can happen.
That's the thing that I'm concerned with. But I'm going with the Niners in this game. I think we can handle them dudes. I do.
Yeah, I do as well. Just because of obviously Nathaniel Hackett has been struggling, and just the way he's been coaching the Broncos. Nothing against him. He's starting out. The whole unit is a new system, but I'm gonna take the Niners as well. I do see it being a good game, but I see it being a close game as well. So
hey, look, it's a other than a couple of people in the chat that got the Broncos, it's all laughs. I always wonder if he's being if you're joking when I see it's all laughs. But Broncos by 3 in a low scoring game. I have the 49ers by a touchdown. The Broncos just they don't look to be in sync, and I don't think it's even Russell Wilson's fault, but just nothing seems to be working. And the coach just seems to, when you come out and say, I should have done this after week 1, I should have, just don't say anything. If you're wrong, just don't say anything. Say privately to Russ, hey, my bad. I should have called the timeout and given you the ball with a minute left and 4th and 5. Have that private conversation. It does not need to be public because now everybody doubts everything you do. So I got the 49ers winning. I like the energy, like you said, when Jimmy G came in last week. I think they're going to ride that for at least a few weeks anyways. Just that energy of having the players in San Francisco just looked so happy. It was like you took your kids to Disney World. They were miserable because you had them in school and you said, hey, you know what? Forget school. Come with me. And you'd surprise them with Disney World because everyone was like, yay. They were so happy to see him. So I'm gonna go with the Niners. All right. Monday night. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Dallas Cowboys squaring off against the 2-0.
Let's go.
Hold on. Give me a minute just to hold on.
Drink it in, Tone. Drink all of it. Don't drink some of it, Tone. Don't drink most of it. Chug it. Okay? Chug it.
I guess I got to take back when I said they're going to go 0-17. So
yes, you do. Chug it, Tone. Chug it.
2-0 New York Giants. Now, part of my thing about that is I didn't think Saquon Barkley would come back. Now, he wasn't as great, obviously, in week 2. But that week 1 performance was ridiculous. I thought he would have to, slowly get back into it, kind of like what CMC is doing, right? Kind of more slow roll. Plus, obviously, we got, Coach McGahee, who's the coach of the special teams, who's a friend of ours. His son Trent goes to U of H, who we have on our show, Players Choice Gridiron, our football show. So, there's a lot of reasons to hate on the Giants. But Cowboys go in. The Giants are 2.5-point favorites. The Giants are 2.5-point favorites against Cooper. Yes, against Cooper, Andy Dalton Rush, and the Cowboys.
Andy Dalton Rush.
That's Skip Bayless reference.
Who we got? Cowboys or the Giants? The G-Man.
We both, we did touch on this a little bit earlier, but I'm taking the Giants. I'm going along for the ride. Why not? Why the hell not? It is time to just see what they can do.
Well,
do I have stock in this? No. Huh? Let's go, Jay. Yeah, we're going with it right now. So yeah.
You guys made so many good points. Sorry, go ahead. You have one more point to make.
Well, I guess I was just gonna finish it off with. Cooper Rush is he can win a few games here and there, but I don't know. I see the Giants as a unit. They're pushing forward. It might end this week and it might not, but Sebastian, I know he's in the chat. I know he's a Cowboys fan, but I just don't see the season going anywhere for them. So,
well, I think yes. Go ahead, Jay.
You and I had this discussion. I don't got the Cowboys making the playoffs this year. I don't
have either one of these teams making the playoffs this year.
I don't have the Cowboys making the playoffs this year, and I just think that Saquon Barkley, before he banged up his knee and then before he rolled up his ankle, we were having a legit discussion about him being the best back in the game. So when you got the best back in the game and the quarterback has gotten better, I like the direction that the Giants are heading in. I just do.
There's people saying, aside from Aaron Donald, we might be having Micah Parsons as the best defensive player in the game conversations.
Yeah,
that's
we might
fair.
Be.
We
might be.
He's a single person. He can't take a team to the playoffs.
I
know like Aaron Donald was a huge piece of the Rams.
He could become best friends with Danny No Dimes this week. Could see a lot of each other. I'm gonna say this. Cooper Rush is gonna say, and Cooper Rush who beat the Bengals last week, is going to go into New York and beat the New York Giants and remind people that the New York Giants are not a good football team. So I am going with the Dallas Cowboys.
All right.
Man, so that's all the picks for this week on Crunching the Numbers. And as always, you know what that means? It means now you're more fluent. All right. Hey, chat, thanks for joining. I'm going to chop that off and throw that in. I appreciate that. I got to go do a fantasy grill show. It seems like I don't know. I know we're super later than we normally go. There's a couple of chats. I don't know if you want to, have you guys talked about the top 3 in passing yards going into week 3?
Tua,
Carson Wentz, and Joe Flacco.
No.
That's since you want him off your team.
Get him off my TV.
All right. Haley, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. We're going to Cincinnati, so we late tonight. So
for what?
Catching the red eye.
Yeah, basically. We're just gonna go see family.
I thought
nothing bad, but yeah, nothing. I wish it was for a game or something.
I thought maybe for the game. That's what I was gonna ask.
Catching the red eye, no doubt. Yeah. Catching the red eye.
All right. Well, not 7. It's 7:30. Don't forget she's in Portland.
Hey, yeah.
You're in Portland, right?
Yeah, but I haven't packed it on anything. I've been working all day, so
get out of here. Go pack.
Yeah,
you gotta go ahead.
All right, you do.
No doubt.
But yeah, we'll be back next Thursday. We do have the GOAT of every NBA team that we're gonna touch on, which is gonna be a lot of fun.
The GOAT of NBA. Oh yeah, next.
And I want to spend a lot of time on that because you kind of get down in the nitty gritty. So yeah. But for now, I don't know. Are you guys gonna stay on for a minute?
We out.
All right,
EJ. Take it away for us.
Take it light, but take it.